We're talking about from 30% to 60% property tax for foreigners. It's huge.
Yeah, it's a big move, but this has been a special pain point, as you know, since the COVID era here for residents. I mean, we've been looking at a property market that heated up during the pandemic when people didn't have anywhere else to go with their money. They put it into property, they put it into renovations that just drove those rental prices, especially through the roof. And expats here especially have been eager to talk about stories of renewing their leases at 50%, 100% even higher than what they were paying before. So this has really been an issue for some time. The government has addressed it. They've already instituted a few rounds of efforts to try to cool the property prices, dating back to December 2021 when they raised some stamp duties across the board. Back in September, they tightened home loan limits. Even in February, in the annual budget, they instituted a few more cooling measures. That hasn't produced, a cooling enough. And so clearly they needed to do more, and that's really trying to address both the high inflation, the high rental costs, as well as, concern around income inequality in the city-state here.
Michelle, I mean, what now happens with these soaring prices in terms of buying? But don't forget, we've also got rents, which are also going up exponentially.
Yeah, absolutely. And we saw some figures just earlier this week from the Ministry of National Development. They were showing that since 2021, public housing costs have soared by 38%, private costs by 43%. So certainly nothing to blink at there. It's certainly a big issue still. And there's an intense amount of frustration on the part of residents here about those prices not coming down fast enough. Now, the government's line has been for some time that construction coming out of COVID, and especially this year, will help boost the supply and lower prices. We'll see if that happens. They issued some numbers earlier this week. The 30,000 public and private units were completed last year. That's going to be bumped up to about 39,000 this year, in the hopes that in this year and the years to come, there will be more supply on hand and, of course, kind of cool those rental costs that are really just can't seem to come down fast enough.
Well, the thing is, the big question is actually, will it work? I mean, yes, the 60% tax, but if you're super rich,
right,
and we're talking about the rich buying all these property in Singapore, I mean, will it stop them?
Yeah, it's a big question. I mean, one of those previous rounds I mentioned was focused on the high-end properties. This was the annual budget when they raised taxes on, property values in excess of $1.5 million, Singapore dollars, so about 1.1 million US dollars. That didn't seem to do enough, at least in the past few months, and maybe that's just not enough to, to change attitudes, behaviors yet. I mean, we kind of need to watch this supply play out and see if there's enough supply to kind of cool those prices and again, under moderating demand, also help rental costs alleviate a little bit.